Okay. Hello and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. Today we are really excited because we're going to be talking about the end of Loki. There was a lot to take in. We have multiverses, we have maybe the Young Avengers, we have a whole bunch going on. But the main thing, I guess, when I was watching it, all I could picture is my man Troy sitting there in the corner, like squealing the whole time because we finally have Kang. So, well, they didn't say his name, but we all know that that's who it is. So I'm going to start it off with Troy today. Congrats, you got your guy in, and let's hear what were your thoughts of this whole thing.
Yeah, I figured it. I figured as much way back when the Avengers were going back in time and Ant-Man was like, time heist. I was like, wait a minute. In my mind, I saw Kang, because, time is his yard. And I saw the Avengers, walking across his yard. And in my mind, I saw Kang going, get off my grass, because they're going through time and that's his deal. So as soon as they said that, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to meet Kang. It's like going to Gotham, right? And then robbing a bank in the middle of the night. Some dude dressed like a rodent is going to hit you in the face with a weird shaped batarang. If you go to Gotham and you rob a bank, Superman's showing up. If you go through time, it's got to be Kang, man. So as soon as they said that, I was like, he's coming. And then when they announced it, and Ant-Man, and I guess Ant-Man and the Wasp, or whatever the Ant-Man, what's it called, whatever their new movie is called.
Quantumania, is that it?
Quantumania. Yeah. When they announced it, I was like, he's going to shoot. At first, I wasn't too happy with the choice for Kang. But then I saw some of his work. He's just like T'Challa. I had heard the name first before I realized exactly who it was. And I saw some of his stuff and I was like, oh, he'd be pretty good, I guess. And I knew he was, I was like, it's got to be Kang. And then when Loki was dealing with time again, I was like, he's going to show up in Loki. He's got to. They got to introduce him because we know who he is. But to the average layman, they're going to be out there and this dude is going to show up in a purple suit and they're going to be like, he doesn't look that tough. They've got to build him up. They got to let people know that this dude will knock you out. He's got crazy space weapons. So they got to let him know. And they did with Loki. It was outstanding.
I was really happy with it, seeing Kang there too. But he is, like a lot of what Marvel's been doing lately, he is so different than what's portrayed in the comics. I mean, just the tone, the character itself, that is not the way he's done in the comics.
I'll tell you what I think that is. This is what I think. When I saw it and he was acting all quirky and ditzy, I was like, okay, I got it. This is the dude that preceded the dude who becomes Kang. So, but instead of like them saying, all right, this is the scientist who eventually became, Rama Tut, who became the Scarlet Centaurian, who became Kang. This is the dude from our dimension. And they just said it's branched out and there's evil versions of him. So Kang would be an evil version from another dimension that came here. So this he's all la-di-da. It's the same actor. He's playing kind of a nutsy goof because maybe the last 10,000 years, he's been sitting in that office protecting time. But now some dude is coming with his face who's completely evil. So I think he's going to play a nut so that it'll be more intense when he comes and he's like growling and, shooting people in the face and stuff. I think it'll be a change. So we'll say, oh man, that guy is dangerous. Look how different he was from the other one.
I don't mind. I'll bring it over to Carlos in a second. I don't mind if this is the way they go with it. I mean, I kind of liked having this quirky character who's dangerous, who's going to be a real big bad villain because you see he's like he's nuts. Someone who's nuts, you don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they're going to do. So I really did like it. All right, Carlos, your thoughts on this?
Oh, me? Oh, I'm like drinking tea over here. I'm just enjoying this one because
This is supposed to be the Troy episode.
To be honest with you, normally, if you guys have, for all you guys who have seen all our podcasts, I normally wear glasses. I'm not even wearing glasses today because I don't really need to be reading or seeing anything because this is Troy. This is my man Troy episode. Troy's been building up to this episode for like the past. How many episodes have we done already? I think 10, right?
Right. Yes.
I think this is our 11th episode. So this is Troy's, Bruja, his thing.
Troy's mentioned Kang in 9 of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I knew he was coming.
Well, basically, if I may interject, I think that first of all, I mean, the whole series was fantastic. I thought it was great. It was well written. Just like WandaVision, just like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Marvel just keeps outdoing themselves. Kind of like the Black Widow. Seeing the Black Widow, even though I really enjoyed it, it kind of like it brought like the writing for the shows is like so much smarter and has been so sharp that the Black Widow was kind of like a little bit of a letdown, I think, to a lot of people because they've been watching WandaVision, they've been watching Winter Soldier, they've been watching Loki. So Loki, I mean, the whole series was fantastic. I pretty much, being a comic book nerd, we pretty much had it figured out that it was going to be Kang. We talked about this obviously off.
But the WandaVision kept pointing to Mephisto, and Mephisto never came. So I was
right.
Still happy to see Kang.
Mephisto, we were all guessing, but Mephisto, it was all like guessing. It was more once they introduced his girlfriend character, I was like, how can it not be Kang? The girl who's I forgot, I can't think of her name, but the girl who's
Ravonna, the one.
Yeah, Ravonna, exactly. That's his girlfriend in the comics. So it's got to be Kang. Now, as far as the Kang that we saw, the one that we saw was
here we go.
I'm pretty sure the one that we saw was Nathaniel Richards, which is related to Reed Richards, obviously the Fantastic Four in the future. So this is obviously his first appearance right here, Fantastic Four 272. So if you guys don't have it, make sure you get it. It's a hot book. But that's the one that we saw, and I think that the way that they did it was really, really smart. Because he basically, Nathaniel Richards, obviously, and the whole Richards, going with that whole Richards team is a genius, right? The guy's a genius. And he basically figured out time. He's the one who kind of like figured out the different, the multiverse, I guess, the Marvel multiverse. And he pretty much warned them. He said, hey, man, I'm kind of like keeping this together. If you guys kill me, you guys are gonna release the evil version of Kang, which is the Kang that we all know and love, the original Kang, which is Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is like, he's like
the Conqueror was mentioned last night.
Right, exactly. He mentioned all the different versions of him, but Kang the Conqueror is basically he's a Thanos type, villain type villain. He's the kind of villain that fights the Avengers, basically, right? So, the fact that they're introducing him in this, I love the introduction, but I know that he's going to be in the Ant-Man movie, and I guess we had discussed this before, and I'm guessing the Ant-Man movie's got to be like a Civil War movie where, where they have a whole bunch of other heroes in it too, because, Ant-Man is really no match for Kang the Conqueror, right? So, hopefully, it kind of got me excited because since there aren't really any plans for any Avengers movies, they gotta in these upcoming movies, if they're gonna have Kang in there, unless like Kang is gonna be maybe like an afterthought in these movies, and they're setting him up for an Avengers movie a few years from now, and he's gonna be the main villain. But I mean, this is I think this one out of the movie so far, this has been like the least of the wow surprises of who the villain was. I think that obviously the villain in WandaVision, we all nobody really knew who it was until what's her name came out, Agatha. That was a big surprise because everybody thought it was Mephisto. The villain in the Winter Soldier, and it was a surprise, but it wasn't as big a surprise as Agatha. but everyone kind of knew. I mean, anyone who's a comic book person kind of knew that it's gonna be Kang. It's gonna be Kang.
Well,
if it was anybody else but Kang, it would have been like a big,
big disappointment.
Not so much disappointment, but it would have been a real twist, right? Because everyone, they built up Kang, and Troy was saying, I think the guy's name is Jonathan Majors, the actor who's playing Kang. Fantastic, great actor. I mean, the kid's a great actor. So he's gonna do a fantastic job. He kind of looks like a young version of KRS-One to me. I don't know. I'm a hip hop guy, so he looks a little bit like KRS-One. So he kind of like, automatically I like him because KRS-One is one of my idols, rap idols. So, but yeah, man, I loved it, man. I loved it.
Everyone was saying that all the reviews today were saying that the Loki was the best one out of all their Marvel series so far. But here's what I took. I'm looking to the future too, and I cannot see how Ant-Man's going to compete with Kang, unless it's going to be like something like the Thanos, in Marvel, like behind the scenes in all the Marvel movies, like building him up slowly to like have, this big confrontation at the end with all the heroes. But the thing that I was most excited about it, and there are no plans that I read in Marvel yet, but how can you not have a Kang story without the Fantastic Four being involved in somehow? So
right.
It's got to be. I mean, that I'm keep hoping that they're going to introduce, maybe like they had Spider-Man come into Civil War, that the Fantastic Four is going to make an appearance in either Doctor Strange or in Ant-Man. Just, show up in the background. He goes to them, because how can you not? This is the Fantastic Four. This is their domain. He's so linked to Reed Richards. It's got to be there.
He's related to him. He's related to him. Exactly.
I need to see the Fantastic Four already done right in Marvel. It's one of my favorite comics, and the Fox just killed it both times they did it. It was awful. So that's what I was most excited about.
The one thing we know is that it's coming, right? And we know the Fantastic Four is coming. It's already been announced. They haven't announced the a date or whatever. Or they haven't given us who the actors are going to be, but we know that it's coming. They have it pretty much listed at the end of this Marvel phase. I think the last movie is the Fantastic Four, supposedly. So we know that it's coming. So.
And they can do the movie at the end and still stick to characters and throughout the thing. So they can do a slow burn on the Fantastic Four and have like Reed Richards show up or Johnny Storm or something. Because Ant-Man, he's not dealing with Kang. If Kang shows up in Ant-Man's movie and Ant-Man is the only dude there, then that's the last Ant-Man movie. There won't be enough.
He might be able to thwart Kang. I mean, for like a temporary thing, somehow figure something out to thwart like some plan. But he's not dealing. Yeah, he's not beating Kang on his own. But
you know what I kind of feel like. I kind of feel like the first 2 or 3 parts of the MCU. They were all geared towards Avengers movies, right? They were all around the Avengers, and then pretty much ending in Avengers Endgame, right? So I think that maybe what Marvel might be planning on doing is maybe gearing these next few movies, kind of like gearing them around introducing the Fantastic Four, and having that next phase, having the Fantastic Four be like the Avengers movies, of the next phase, basically. Because if you think about it, you introduce Kang, right? In the Black Panther movie, they're going to introduce Submariner, first appearance, Fantastic Four number 4, right? So he's linked to that, and then they also have the mutants that they're going to introduce, right? Because I think they're going to gear away a little bit from the Avengers, being that Iron Man is dead, the leader of freaking Avengers is dead, right? The Iron Man is dead. Obviously, they're going to go different routes, but I think that they're leaning towards, okay, now let's milk the Fantastic Four and build up the Fantastic Four. I think that's what these movies are all going to be like. The Easter eggs and stuff are all going to be towards, the villains and people around the Fantastic Four. That would be really cool.
You just mentioned Iron Man, though. I mean, last night, the last episode of Loki set it up. Anyone can come back right now. All these people, we have all the multiverse. We have all these different people coming up. We can see Black Widow again. We could see Iron Man again. That's the way that it was set up. Hopefully, we might see Robert Downey Jr. come back, Scarlett Johansson come back, but we could also see someone else, a different, a different universe coming in, playing Iron Man. I'm the Iron Man from there. So they set it up that they could bring back all the Black Panther too. We could
Do me a
set
favor, take that back.
all this.
Don't say that. Don't say somebody else from another universe playing Iron Man. I mean, come
But
on.
that's exactly what we set it up for. We could see all these characters. I mean, they opened it up that someone else can play. They said, well, no one else is going to play, Black Panther, but Chadwick, we did set it up now for someone else coming in as Black Panther.
And if you think about it, they said no one else will play T'Challa.
Yes.
But somebody else could be Black Panther. There could be a completely different dude, different name, whole thing for Black Panther. And if you think about it, in the X-Men comic books, when Scott Summers, when Cyclops went a little nuts and killed Xavier, and they wanted to reboot the X-Men, but Cyclops was a lunatic, they did a storyline where they went back in time, got the old X-Men, brought them forward, and they were the X-Men, the from the past, and they brought them forward when Hal Jordan became what's the guy that did that stupid movie?
The Green Lantern?
The Green Lantern movie.
Wait, the Green Lantern's coming to the MCU now? Oh, sweet.
Oh, no, but they did the same type of storyline. They when Hal went nuts and he became I can't remember the name, the big head monster thing that was in the movie. He becomes that. Parallax. When he became Parallax and he stole all those Green Lantern rings and they were acting like it was like an infinity gauntlet because he had multiple rings, and he became Parallax and everything, and they did end hour, something hour. DC keeps rebooting their stuff and I get mixed up. But they did that. They brought a different Hal Jordan from the past, brought him to the future, explained what was going on. The modern Hal Jordan just went nuts, and they never talked about it again, that the Hal Jordan today is a dude from the past. He's just the guy now. So they could do that. They could bring, Iron Man from the past and be like.
Because when you first started talking about the Green Lantern movie, I just want to know, because when I saw that movie only once in my life, and it was like, when you're being assaulted, they tell you to send your mind somewhere else, and that's what happened. So I barely remember anything in the movie because it was that bad, and I never went to go watch it again.
It was a horrible movie. They had two great villains, and they could have did a good movie, but they did not. It was like it's like DC tries to wreck their movies. It's like they're like, hey, we got this great Lamborghini. What do you want to do with it? Let's scratch the side. Somebody stab a tire. Let's set the car on fire. That's what they do with their movies. Let's damage this movie. I don't know.
But one of the things also from the Loki episode that we are set up, besides the multiverse, besides these other characters, we are set up for young Avengers right now. They've been doing this for the last few series, for their Marvel series and even the movies. How can it not be coming? That's got to be coming too. I know there's been talk about it, some chatter about it, but we are really set up now to go in that direction as well.
Yeah.
My copy of Young Avengers #1 is at CGC right now, but if not, I would break it out to you guys. Well, yeah,
Troy can edit it in later. Yes.
Let me tell you something. Young Avengers. I bought that book. I'm pretty sure I paid $1 for it like 5 years ago. I bought it out of and now it's going for like over $1,000 because there's so many first appearances in that book. So it's like I said, that's the thing about about like Marvel is that they have so many heroes and so many storylines and so many things that they can bring up. Like, I mean, they have enough stuff for movies for the next 50 years, and still have fresh stuff. It's just as long as they keep using the Marvel writers and the Marvel people, this is like the biggest gold mine in the world for Disney.
Well, we saw the kids. We saw the kids in WandaVision. We saw, in Falcon Winter Soldier, and now, now we have young Loki too. So, I mean, I think it's got to be coming. Maybe a TV series, if not a movie, but I think
you got to remember also the Hawkeye show that's coming.
Right, the Hawkeye as well. Right.
Right, the girl. She's one of the young Avengers. What's her name? I forgot her name. I can't think of her name. But yeah, it's all going to tie together, man.
You got Hawkeye. You got a Patriot from Falcon and Winter Soldier. Right. Mm-hmm. I heard Riri's coming. Ironheart.
Got Hulkling.
Kang's there, so they could do the young version of Kang.
Yep.
Like you said, the twins. They got the whole team there. Ant-Man's kids, Stature, all of them. And also, yeah, they can definitely build a team there, and it will be good. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. You know, they could name any Marvel characters, and I'm going to be, that's going to be a great movie. Anyway, because they're doing amazing over there.
What do we think next for Loki? I mean, I was waiting for that post-credit scene. I was waiting. All we got was the Loki season 2 coming, which is the only series that they picked up for a second season so far. So I was happy about that. But I think, I don't know. It feels like this is going to be Loki's vindication story, that he's going to play a big part going forward in being a hero instead of the villain constantly. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, you'll always have that thing, because in a way, everything that's coming, that's caused, in a way, was caused by a version of him, because if she killed the future version of Kang, the Nathaniel Richards version of Kang, causing all the chaos that's about to come. So, it's kind of. But
it wasn't him who did this.
It's not him, but it's someone who's tied to him, basically. Right. It's a variant of him. So it's him and then one of a variant of him. So. I mean, Loki, the thing about Loki in the MCU has been like one of the most, even though he's been a villain, he's been one of the most liked characters, right? So people love Tom Hiddleston, and they love the character of Loki. So, and it's a great, there's so many things that you can do with them. And, I love, how they this story, how they, pretty much pulled it out of the first Avengers movie, when he, stole the Tesseract, and, basically that's how this whole series came about. And, we got introduced to Kang. So I love how they're tying everything together. Like, everything ties together. The Marvel way, that's when you have that's what we always wait for, the after credit scenes of all the movies and all the shows. Cause it's going to tie to something else, or another year or something else. So, what else are they going to do? So Loki season 2, I think it's going to be interesting. More of like when it comes out, right?
That's what I want to know too. Exactly.
Right. Is it going to be come around the time that the Ant-Man movie comes out, or is it going to be before or after? How are they going to link all that together? So all that stuff is going to be.
Well, I'm curious if it's going to be before or after Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange is coming out next year too, and I want to see where they're going to put the Loki season 2.
I'm guessing it's going to be after. Because I'm pretty sure they'll take their time filming all this stuff. So I'm guessing it's going to be after. I'm guessing it's going to be after Doctor Strange. And when does the Ant-Man movie come out? Remember, didn't we do a show on that?
2023.
23. Well, it's going to be 22 already, like in 6 months. So
right, but Doctor Strange is 2022. So
right, exactly.
I'm assuming Loki's going to be next year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how. Like I said, there's so much there's so many ways that they can take it, So I mean, I'm obviously, we're all tuned in. I believe we have a podcast that talks about this kind of stuff. So we'll be here watching and stuff. So,
Troy, what are your thoughts? I mean, I think
I was thinking they were going to do it after the movies, because Kang is going to show up. Kang's going to wreck stuff. Eventually, he'll get defeated, and every time he's defeated, there is no Arkham or Ravencroft for heroes of that magnitude. They get sent back home. So he's going to get beaten. He's going to go back into time. When he goes back into time, Loki's going to be there at the TVA. So I figure it would conclude with him going back into time and somehow Loki capturing him and trapping him there, or stealing his power and becoming the new Immortus or something along those lines. But it could be that it's in the middle, and it's got to be tied into Kang again, I assume, because he's still there. He's still in basically the time citadel, and Kang's going to be loose. Eventually, Kang's got to come back there, and Loki's there. So they're going to meet again, I would assume.
What do we think? I mean, I still think Loki's going to be, I think he's going to be besides being a huge part, which we know that, but I still think he's going to be someone who has to do heroic deeds, even just because he's forced into that role now. I mean, we're ending it. Mobius has no idea who he is again. So, right. So it's kind of in a weird place right now as far as what's going to happen there. And I'm glad we're going to see Loki again. I'm glad we're going to see Sylvie again, too. I mean, it leaves it open for her as well. But with Mobius not knowing who he is, what does that leave for Loki right now?
Well, that's the weird. That was weird about that was because Mobius working for the TVA. You figured he would know who Loki is, right? I mean, so the fact that when he came back, I mean, obviously Loki never did anything to affect that particular timeline, so he never had to hunt him or anything. So that's why he didn't know who he was, because how could he not know who Loki is, right? Like the whole show is based on him, getting Loki to help him to find a Loki. That was the whole first season was them chasing a Loki, because Loki was the one who was creating the problems for the in the timelines and stuff, right? Over the variant of Loki. So and I'm guessing on the planet you had all those Lokis on there, because I figured they probably caught all the Lokis and they banished them there, I guess, right? I guess they've been hunting Lokis forever. So for him not to know who Loki is,
what's been going on?
What's been going on, exactly. So
I have a theory about that. Okay, that Kang, right? What did he call himself? The last one. He who
remains. Yeah.
When he was He Who Remains, he knew everything up till that point. So he knew he was going to be confronted by a Loki. That's why he had the TVA hunting Lokis down. Get Loki. No matter what you do, get Loki. Because he knew eventually one of them was going to kill him. So, because he said, I don't know what happens after this point. He didn't know who was going to kill him. He kind of figured he was going to die, but he didn't know who was going to kill him. So throughout time, whenever there's a Loki, he's like, get that one. Oh, he did something wrong. Trust me, it's okay. You need to get that one. So he's been doing that. So now that actually Kang is actually ruling space and time, because Kang's here now. And when they show him, there's a big statue of him. So the evil Kang is here. He's probably eliminated all of the Lokis except for that one that was trapped in time. He didn't know about him. So all the Lokis are gone. He probably just zapped them immediately. Loki comes up and he's like, hey, you forgot about me. So now Kang is going to be aware of him, but the TVA isn't, because Kang hasn't told them, hey, there's a dude that's going to kill me at the end of the time, so watch out for him, because he thinks it's done. So Loki shows up and Loki's like, we got to look out for Kang. And they're like, because remember when they were having a conversation and Hunter 818 or whatever her name is talking to Morbius, he says, what does he want us to do about the 62 new variants? He knows that there's one single person, not 3 space aliens anymore, but one guy. What does he want us to do? Mm-hmm. So in Morbius's mind, it's always been Kang. Because as soon as Kang controls time, he can go to the beginning and make it all about him for all the way up to today. He controls time.
He controls everything else that's happened, right?
Tomorrow, it's all the same. So they're thinking they've existed in that instant. They've existed their entire lives in that Kang's world. So now Loki shows up from outside of time, and now he's a real variant. He's not supposed to be there. So I'm thinking, Kang's probably really wanting that guy, because he's not
right. But at the same time, what's going on? Because when he arrives there, they're all in chaos, right? And they saw the timeline that got all the different,
branches going through, yeah,
branches going everywhere. So what's going on?
War. The time war that the one He Who Remains ended. That time war has started again. So all the Kangs are fighting, but it just happened for them. So they're like, oh my God, what's going on? It's the Kang War. They're all fighting each other. Again, this is my opinion. I didn't write the stuff, but I'm guessing. So I'm thinking, because they're like, if he's like, if you kill me, worst guy's coming, a bunch of them, I'll see you soon. So they killed him. So the other ones are there. And one of them, which we have to assume is the Kang, has already taken over. Now he's got to defend his timeline against the other Kangs. is going to spiral off into the Kang War, which is probably going to spiral off into the Ant-Man some kind of a way.
Well, the Kang from yesterday, I mean, he knows he's going to be killed there. He knows he knows he's not leaving that room because of the time. So he's there ready to be killed because it's going to, this works into his plan for down the line. This is what he wanted for there. I mean, how could he not know with his?
Well, he said that from this moment, he said, there it is. From this moment, I don't know what happens. So that's why he knew that they would be there and they could possibly kill him. So before then, he was trying to wipe out all of the Lokis, catch them. They're variants. They're no good. All of them are evil. Trust me, get all of them because I don't know what happens at the end of time. But I know that they're going to be in a room with me. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happens. So I think they kill me. So he tried to kill me first.
But I was in the same mind as Sylvie that I didn't believe him either. I think he knew exactly what was going to, you have Loki, he said he's a liar. You have this guy, Kang, who's, we don't know if he's telling the truth or not. So you have a whole room full of liars there, all playing, poker with each other about what the stakes are.
Yeah. How narcissistic does a person have to be to fall in love with a version of themselves?
I was thinking about it. I could do it
with himself.
Yeah, me too.
It's basically, it would be like me dating me with a wig, because that's what it is. It's a woman version of him. I'm thinking he's in love with himself.
Yeah, but you look at it like, God damn, you're beautiful.
you know, on the phone though that app that they have that makes you look like a if you look like a woman stuff. You ever see that one? Like, you put whatever you put your face. I would so date myself. Oh my God. I would so date myself.
You know what your likes and dislikes are.
Exactly.
But this also opened up, they were talking, I was reading also that this opened up the Beyonder. This opened up the whole way to get to the Beyonder at some point also.
And like I said, there's so many things there's so many storylines, so many things that they can do from this. It's like I said, it's pretty much endless almost the amount of movies and shows that they can make from this. So, as long as they do them right, as long as they keep doing them, and the way they've been doing them and not like flood the market, just doing them smart and, doing them correctly. This is stuff we're going to be watching for the next, 30 years at least. Well, for us at least, hopefully, for the future, but if we live that long, obviously.
So, final thoughts. What do we want to see happen next in Marvel, and what do we want to see happen next for Loki? Troy, start off with you.
For Marvel, I think
MCU, let's say,
I'd like to see Doom. I'd like them to bring Doom in, and I'd like them to, at the very least, introduce the possibility of Galactus. Even if they don't bring him in, I think they need to, at the very least, introduce the possibility, maybe a herald, or maybe the mention of one of his heralds, or something like that. That's where I'd like to see. I'd like to see more street level villains and more street level heroes. And as far as Loki, I think I would like to see what happens next. I think he's going to take over the TV. Well, I guess he can't. Kang's there now. So he should have
he's not there right now, Kang. Yeah, he should have taken the deal, right?
Yeah. Well, he's there. Remember they showed the statue.
Right.
He's in charge. I'm thinking he should have took that deal. I'm wondering what's going to happen with him, because he's a man without a country right now.
Mm-hmm.
Asgard. Because you got to think there's far stretching ramifications beyond him just taking over the TVA. In that one instant, he's existed for 3,000 years there. So he may have changed or altered the Avengers. This might be why we've got the what ifs coming out, because Kang is messing with stuff. And so Kang could touch one thing, it could be a ripple. And now T'Challa is with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Touch another thing, there's a ripple. And now Captain America is Sharon Carter. There could be all of these different things. Maybe he started that.
I just want to know, and you got to be honest with me here too. When Kang first appeared on the screen, do you like a tear trickle from your eye? Like, I just want to.
I have to admit, when they originally showed Kang, I had to go back and rewind because I'm pretty sure I passed. I think I passed out. I remember finding myself under the table and Falcon and Winter Soldier was on, and I was like, how'd that happen? I had to get the remote and rewind it 20 minutes so I could watch it.
Oh, I'm sure you rewound it more than once or twice. I said, my man's either squealing or crying. It's one of the two.
I watched it 3 times today. I watched it 3 times today.
All right, Carlos, what do you see? MCU and Loki. What do we want to see next?
MCU. I mean, everything to me, everything's has to be leading towards the introduction of the Fantastic Four. So I want to see, Easter eggs, little, here and there that kind of like start, preparing us for the appearance of the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four is pretty much like the main Marvel team, the first Marvel team basically. So everything that the villains, Kang, Galactus, Doctor Doom, these are all Fantastic Four related. So, you got Submariner and like we said before in Black Panther, all these people have ties to the Fantastic Four. So, little Easter eggs to drop to, hopefully at the end, blow us away with a Fantastic Four movie. Troy says something interesting about the what if. The what if, they're going to be animated, obviously. So I wonder if they would do that, if they would tie the animated movies with the actual, in-person movies. That would be interesting. But as far as Loki's concerned, I understand the whole. Like he was saying, like you really like it, the fact that they're making him kind of like a little bit of a hero, like an anti-hero. But to me, eventually, he's Loki. So I want him to be, Loki. I want him to double cross somebody and, at the end, be who he is. He's the god of mischief. He may not be evil the way he started out, right? But he's still Loki. He still wants to rule. He wants to rule something, right? He wants to be a king of something. That's like what he's all about. I mean, whether it's the TVA or whatever, universe, whatever. He wants to be a conqueror. He wants to be the leader. So I hope that they eventually maybe push him back towards that, So that's what I would like to see Loki. The whole him being a hero is kind of cool. But it would be cool if they had it at the end, like I'm still freaking Loki. I'm still a bad guy.
I have the same things as both of you. I mean, the same thing for MCU. I gotta see. That's what I want. I've been wanting it since we started this Marvel universe. I want to see the Fantastic Four. Same thing. I mean, I was always more, growing up, I was always more of a Fantastic Four, guy than the Avengers. I was, as a kid, that was a Fantastic Four and Spider-Man were the two favorites that I had. So I want to see Fantastic Four done right. I want to, I'm willing to take my time to get there. If we're going to start, like Carlos just said, start seeing like little clues dropped in. And as long as we get to the Fantastic Four and make it good, that's going to be what I want to see in the MCU. With Loki, I get all that he's still a villain at heart, but I want to see, at least for a stretch, him being the anti-hero. The same thing. I want to see, right now he's in a place that he knows a lot of stuff that's happened that other people don't know. So I want him to be forced into that role. Like, what the hell's the matter with you guys? Don't you see the danger here? That he's the only one that knows this stuff that the others aren't aware of. So he's forced to be at the end. Yeah, he can go back to being all his bad guy. He doesn't even have to do good out of the kindness of his heart. He has to do good because he's the only one who knows the danger. He's the only one right now who knows what's going on. So I do want to see that. I like we all said, I love Hiddleston. I think he's just great in that role. And I really enjoyed this series. This to me was a fantastic series. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? Leave, for everyone, thanks for watching, but let us know your thoughts. What do you want to see for MCU? What do you guys think of Loki? And drop it in the comment section. Anyway, this has been Comics and Pop. On behalf of myself, Troy, and Carlos, thanks for watching. And remember, subscribe. Thank you.